Alright. Hello, doctors. Welcome back to Pirates of Medicine. Today we are going to continue with the biochemistry base. If you are not subscribed, please subscribe to our channel. We have already crossed 400 subscribers. Thank you for that. And without any further ado, let's begin. So, the 91st question is that a 5-year-old child who often falls ill with respiratory diseases has eczematous appearances after consumption of some food products, tendency to prolonged course of inflammatory processes. What kind of diathesis can be suspected in this case? Now, first of all, to understand this, let's talk about what diathesis is. Diathesis means that a susceptibility or a predisposition to something. Like for example, in plain words, some of us have this tendency or predisposition to allergic responses. Like for example, even me, during the spring season or when the pollen is in the in the air, some of us get allergic very frequently as compared to others. So we those people have an allergic diathesis, correct? Because they have more susceptibility or more predisposition to allergic responses. So similarly, diathesis can be of many types. First of all, we have exudative or catarrhal diathesis. In this stage or in this type of diathesis, most importantly, uh, it is characterized by susceptibility to recurrent infiltrative desquamated skin and mucous membrane lesion. So basically, what will this lead to? This will lead to prolonged conjunctivitis, rhinitis, catarrhal inflammation of respiratory tract. So basically, in exudative catarrhal type of diathesis, you have more chances or more predisposition to prolonged conjunctivitis, rhinitis, catarrhal inflammation of the respiratory tracts and the mucous tract. Also, itching nodes with serous contents, itching lymph nodes, and even skin eruptions can occur. Vesicular skin eruptions or papular skin eruptions. Correct. Then we have the lymphatic hypoplastic type of diathesis. In this type of diathesis, it is characterized by increase of lymph node constantly, even in absence of infections, and also there is a dysfunction of the endocrine system, adrenal gland and sympathico-adrenal system. There is a dysplasia of another lymphoid organ, the thymus, and there is a decreased adaptation to the influences of the surroundings and increased susceptibility to allergic reactions as well. But most importantly, there is increase or enlargement of the peripheral lymph nodes, and thymus is the most typical feature. So all others are secondary, but if there is enlargement of the lymph nodes and thymus, then this type of diathesis is called as lymphatic hypoplastic diathesis. Correct? Then we have the neuroarthritic diathesis. It is characterized by hyperexcitability and even nutritional disorders leading to ketoacidosis. Obesity can also occur. Nephritis and nephrocalcinosis is more susceptible in these type of people, and even gout and metabolic arthritis is seen in these type of people with neuroarthritic diathesis. So neuro with the neuro excitability, and arthritic means with the disorders of the joints, gout and metabolic arthritis you can see over here, correct? And this is due to purine metabolism disorders, obviously. And again, manifestations include nerve hyperexcitability, and these people, first of all, the children who have this type of diathesis, they are called as child prodigy because they have excellent memory. So they have strong unbalanced hyperexcitable type of nervous system. So this is neuroarthritic diathesis. Then we have allergic diathesis, which I already told you with my own example, that it is a predisposition to develop one or more of the following: hay fever, allergic rhinitis, bronchial asthma, or atopic dermatitis. So basically, diathesis means that this is a polygenically inheritable susceptibility to certain conditions. So predisposition to certain conditions, and this is characterized by the following characteristics, like in all the four given. So this question over here, we had this 5-year-old child who had a tendency to prolonged inflammatory processes and even respiratory diseases with eczematous appearances. So this points out to exudative catarrhal inflammatory diathesis. Correct? I hope you understand all four type of diathesis. Let's go to the next one. The greater amount of nitrogen is excreted from the organism in form of urea. Inhibition of urea synthesis and accumulation of ammonia in the blood and tissues are induced by the decreased activity of the following liver enzyme. So to understand this, let's understand the urea synthesis. So urea synthesis or the urea ornithine citrulline cycle occurs in the liver, in the mitochondria and the cytosol of the liver. Correct? It occurs in the both organelles, in the mitochondria and the cytosol. So basically what happens is ammonia and carbon dioxide come to the liver through the blood supply. Glutamine and alanine take ammonia from the various organs, glutamine from the CNS, alanine from the muscle tissue, and in the liver, in the mitochondria of the liver, carbon dioxide and ammonia combine to form with the help of carbamyl phosphate synthase 1 the product carbamyl phosphate, and this carbamyl phosphate enters the urea cycle in the mitochondria as well, and the carbamyl phosphate is converted into citrulline, and then this citrulline is converted into arginosuccinate with aspartate coming into with the help of arginosuccinate synthase, this enzyme, and the arginosuccinate is converted into arginine and fumarate. Fumarate goes out and takes part in the Krebs cycle, the TCA cycle. Arginine, the amino acid, forms ornithine by addition of water molecule, and with the addition of this water molecule, urea leaves the cycle and urea is formed. And ornithine again is available for combining with carbamyl phosphate to form citrulline with the help of enzyme ornithine transcarbamylase. So these are the main enzymes and the main essence of the urea cycle. Carbamyl phosphate synthase 1, remember, carbamyl phosphate synthase 1 is in the urea cycle. Carbamyl phosphate synthase 2 is a pyrimidine nucleotide enzyme. It has nothing to do with the urea cycle. Basically over here, carbamyl phosphate synthase 1 is responsible for combining carbon dioxide with ammonia to form carbamyl phosphate, which combines with ornithine to form citrulline, and the whole cycle continues until urea is formed. So basically what happens if there is any disorder of any enzyme of the urea cycle, obviously what will happen, it will lead to increase in the metabolites before it. For example, just an example, if arginosuccinate enzyme is not there, what would happen? Arginine will not be formed, urea will not be formed. It will lead to accumulation of arginosuccinate, citrulline, carbamyl phosphate, and most importantly ammonia. Now any enzymatic deficiency can cause the condition of hyperammonemia in the body, increase of ammonia, and ammonia is very toxic to the body. It can cause very toxic changes to the brain, to the other organs, even to the liver, to the heart. So any defect in urea cycle enzymes includes say manifestations like vomiting, lethargy, irritability, ataxia, and mental retardation. So on the basis of enzyme involved, high ammonia defects, if defects of urea cycle can be divided into: if carbamyl phosphate synthase 1 is impaired, hyperammonia type 1; if ornithine transcarbamylase, this enzyme is impaired, hyperammonemia type 2; arginosuccinate synthase, which takes aspartate to combine with citrulline to form arginosuccinate, this is called as citrullinemia because citrulline will be increased in the blood; and arginosuccinic aciduria due to deficiency of impairment of arginosuccinase, because arginosuccinate will be accumulated in the blood. And then we have hyperarginemia due to deficiency of or impairment of arginase. So basically this is due to defect in urea cycle. And similarly the answer over here is carbamyl phosphate synthase 1, because it is the main enzyme of urea cycle, and all other enzymes are not connected with urea cycle at all. Understood? Let's go to the next one. So a 35-year-old patient who often consumes alcohol was treated with diuretics. There happened serious muscle and heart weakness, vomiting, diarrhea, arterial pressure is 100/60, depression. This condition is caused by increased excretion of the following. So the person was taking diuretics, and the diuretics like thiazide diuretics or loop diuretics, what they do, they increase the excretion of potassium ions as well as with the increased excretion of water and sodium. So this leads to condition called as hypokalemia. in which the serum potassium level is less than the normal 3.5 milliequivalent per liter, and there are many symptoms of hypokalemia. Most importantly, cardiovascular symptoms, like it leads to hypertension, it leads to orthostatic hypotension, these arrhythmias in the body, in the heart, these arrhythmias including T wave, flattening, QT prolongation, ST depression, abnormal U waves. Neuromuscular manifestations include malaise, weakness, fatigue, hyporeflexia, cramps, paresthesias, paralysis, rhabdomyolysis. In GIT, it includes nausea, vomiting, abdominal distension, ileus. So, in the background of diuretic treatment and all these symptoms, muscle and heart weakness, vomiting, diarrhea, and arterial pressure lower, depression, this is caused by intensification of excretion with urine of potassium ions. 94th is that after intake of rich food, a patient feels nausea and sluggishness. With time, there appeared signs of steatorrhea. Blood cholesterol concentration is 9.2 micromole per liter. This is caused by lack of the following. So I think we have done these type of questions many times now. Steatorrhea is due to presence of fats in the stool. So if there is a deficiency of bile acids, it can lead to like obstruction of bile ducts can be the cause, hepatic insufficiency can be the cause. It will lead to absence of emulsification and absorption of fat from the blood or from the food, and this will lead to steatorrhea. So the answer is this condition is caused by the lack of bile acids. 95 question is that examination of a man who hadn't been consuming fats but had been getting enough through carbs and proteins for a long time revealed dermatitis, poor wound healing, and vision impairment. What is the most probable cause of metabolic disorders? So the man has not been consuming fats. So because he has not been consuming fat, we have these fat soluble vitamins who are absorbed in the body with the help of fat. And if the man is not taking in enough fat, this will lead to deficiency of these fat soluble vitamins. Vitamin A, D, E, and K, remember, are fat soluble vitamins. Correct? Pretty simple. That is why the answer is vitamin A, D, E, and K, and lack of linoleic acid, because fatty acids are not being able to synthesis because of absence of fats. Linoleic acid is a fatty acid. So 96, that is a 44-year-old woman complains of common weakness, heart pain, considerable increase of body weight, objectively moon-like face, hirsutism, arterial pressure is 165 over 100, height is 164 centimeter, weight is 103 kilogram. The fat is mostly accumulated in the region of the neck, upper shoulder girdle, stomach. What is the main pathogenetic mechanism of obesity? So this woman has this characteristic appearance that we already talked about: moon-like face, hirsutism, arterial pressure is very high, weight is very high, and fat is accumulated. So all these, especially the moon-like face, show that this woman is suffering from Cushing disease or Cushing syndrome, and this is due to increased production of glucocorticoids. So clinical manifestations of Cushing syndrome are like here. These are the morphological manifestations, these are the systemic manifestation. So you can see moon face, thinning of hair, acne, weight gain, these stretch marks, purple striae, pernicious abdomen, slow wound healing, arms and legs are thinner, thin skin, there is extra neck fat, and buffalo hump towards the back, reddish cheeks, hypertension. All these are manifestations of Cushing syndrome, which are connected or which are clearly seen in the patient, the 44-year-old woman over here. Correct? So 97 is that an experimental animal was given excessive amount of carbon labeled glucose for a week. What compound can the label be found in? So to understand this, let's take it a logical way. So if you give extra amount of glucose to someone, what would that glucose be used for? First of all, it will be used for making the energy, for making the energy requirements, meeting the energy requirements, correct? And the extra amount of glucose will be stored as a form of glycogen, and even more extra amount of glucose what will happen to it? That amount of glucose will go towards fatty acid synthesis. Now the fatty acid de novo synthesis is a whole big process. We won't go into deep like the whole process over here, But the essence of fatty acid de novo synthesis is that dietary carbs and amino acid, when consumed in excess, can be converted to fatty acids and stored in the form of TAGs, triacylglycerols. So this occurs in the liver, in the kidney, in the adipose tissue, and the lactating mammary glands. And the enzyme machinery for fatty acid production is located in the cytosomal fraction of the cell. Acetyl coenzyme A is converted from the carbohydrates and amino acid, and this is used to as a like basic material, raw material for conversion into fatty acid. So acetyl coenzyme is the source of carbon atom, NADPH provides reducing equivalents, and ATP is the source of energy. So it occurs in 3 steps. First is the production of acetyl coenzyme A from the carbs and the amino acids, and also production of NADPH. Then acetyl coenzyme A is converted into malonyl coenzyme A, and the malonyl coenzyme A comes into the whole reaction, the big reaction complex of the fatty acid synthase. It's a whole big process. But the first end product of the fatty acid de novo synthesis is palmitate. Now palmitate is the first end product, and other fatty acids are formed by increasing or elongating the palmitate chain. So the first fatty acid that is produced is palmitate. So that is why if there is excessive amount of carbon labeled glucose given to a patient, then this carbon labeled glucose will be seen in palmitic acid because it is being used to form fatty acid, the palmitate fatty acid. Correct? Good. Let's go to the next one. So 98th question is that after serious viral infection of a 3-year-old child, he has repeated vomiting, loss of consciousness, convulsion. Examination revealed hyperammonemia. What may have caused changes of the biochemical blood indices of the child? So I already told you with just this the first question or second question of today's video. Disorder of ammonia neutralization in the ornithic cycle leads to hyperammonemia, which we just studied. So all these symptoms, vomiting, lethargy, irritability, ataxia, mental retardation, correspond to the hyperammonemia due to disorder of the urea cycle. Correct? Let's go to the 99th. Examination of a patient with frequent hemorrhages from the internal and mucous membranes revealed proline and lysine being part of collagen fibers. What vitamin absence caused disturbance of their hydroxylation? So hydroxylation of proline and lysine, we already know. Vitamin C acts as a cofactor for their hydroxylation, this whole process. Proline hydroxylized to form hydroxyproline, and lysine hydroxylized for hydroxylysine. Vitamin C plays an important coenzyme in this process. So there is a deficiency of vitamin C, and that is why there is a disturbance of hydroxylation of proline and lysine and a disturbance of collagen formation. A 36-year-old female patient has a history of collagen disease. Urine analysis is likely to reveal an increased concentration of the following metabolite. Again, same question. Collagen disease. Collagen is formed of hydroxyproline and hydroxylysine, and because of destruction of collagen, out of all the options, even other things will be increased, but hydroxyproline is the only option out of all these options which will be increased in case of collagen destruction. Correct? That is why, because hydroxyproline form the cross-linking of the collagen and increase the strength of the collagen fiber. 101st is that albinos can't stand sun impact. They don't require suntan and they get sunburn. Disturbed metabolism of what amino acid underlies this phenomena? So basically, albinism is a condition in which the body does not produce enough melanin, and melanin is related to the phenylalanine and tyrosine metabolism, like I show here. So phenylalanine is converted into tyrosine with the help of phenylalanine hydroxylase, and then tyrosine is converted to dopa by tyrosinase, and this dopa in the melanocytes is converted into melanins. So if there is any impairment of the dopa, of the tyrosine or the phenylalanine metabolism, this leads to albinism. So they have the deficiency or disturbed metabolism of phenylalanine. That is why albinism takes place. So 102 is that a patient with continuous bronchopneumonia was admitted to the therapeutic department. Antibiotic therapy didn't give much effect. what medication for improvement of immune state should be added to the complex treatment of this patient. So to improve the immune state, we give certain immunomodulators, certain substances that modulate the immune system. And analgin, sulfamoxane, and Benadryl and paracetamol are not immunomodulators. Timalin, on the other hand, is an important immunomodulator of endogenous origin. Timalin is a complex of polypeptide fraction which are actually derived in, like, already they are derived from another, like, organism, from the thymic gland of large horned cattle. Now, with the help of Timalin, it was discovered that if we give this to a human, it regulates the quantity of T and B lymphocytes, stimulates the reaction of cellular immunity, and strengthens the phagocytosis. So it stimulates the immune system to work better. There are other immunomodulators as well: Immunofan, Vilozan, Mylopoid, Tatkivin, and Timalin. So these are mostly used in the Soviet countries like Russia and Ukraine. So in India we have Haldi, yes, immunomodulator, and even other things as well. So this is a basic thing that was found during the Soviet era, that Timalin can be used as immunomodulator. So I hope you understand. Anyway, let's go to the next one. So 103 question is that a patient suffers from hepatic cirrhosis. Examination of which of the following substances excreted by urine can characterize the state of antitoxic function of liver. So to estimate the antitoxic function of liver, we estimate with the help of hippuric acid synthesis. So basically liver is the main site of detoxification of certain substances. So hippuric acid is a toxic substance, and so basically what happens, it is not a toxic substance, but it is a product formed after detoxification of a toxic substance. So hippuric acid test, in hippuric acid test what we do is we give a person some benzoic acid, and in the liver hippuric acid is it is produced by detoxification of benzoic acid, with the benzoic acid combining with glycine. So when we give, like, for the hippuric acid test, we give around 6 gram of sodium benzoate orally dissolved in water after some light breakfast, and normally it should yield around 7.5 gram of hippuric acid in the urine or in the blood, correct, or basically in the urine. And in a healthy person, around 60% it is excreted in urine. If there is a reduction in hippuric acid excretion less than 3 gram, if we give, obviously if we give 6 gram and only less than 3 gram is detected in urine, this shows hepatic damage, because liver is not functioning properly. It is not detoxifying the given compound. So this shows that there is a liver damage. So basically this is why the answer is hippuric acid. Now we don't use this test to diagnose hepatic damage. We also use the enzyme liver function test and other tests, but this was used before and this can be used now, but now we have more better tests to tackle this problem, correct? Liver function test and liver enzyme test. So 104 question is that vitamin A together with specific cytoreceptors penetrates through the nuclear membrane and induces transcription that stimulate growth and differentiation of cells. The biological function is realized by the following form of vitamin. So vitamin A has 3 forms: retinol, retinal, and retinoic acid, correct? The carboxylic acid, the aldehyde, and the alcohol. So if you know the bioorganic chemistry of your 12th grade. So now retinoic acid, most importantly, it regulates growth by inducing transcription. So it is a growth and differentiation stimulator. On the other hand, retinal is important for vision. And retinal and retinoic acid are found in plants, and retinol is found in animal foods, and it has functioning during reproduction or reproductive processes. So I hope you understand why the answer is retinoic acid or trans-retinoic acid, because it stimulates the transcription processes which lead to starting or stimulation of growth and differentiation of cells. So 105 is that products of some protein hydrolysis and modification are biologically active substances called hormones. Lipoprotein, corticotropin, melanotropin, and endorphin are synthesized from in the hydrophases of the following protein. So we have the pro-opiomelanocortin family, the POMC peptide family. Now this family consists of the hormones adrenocorticotropic hormones ACTH, lipotropin LPH, melanocyte stimulating hormones, and several neuromodulators such as endorphins and enkephalins. All the members of POMC families are produced from a single gene in the anterior and intermediate lobes of pituitary, and a single polypeptide formed from this gene, with the translation and transcription of this gene leading to formation of this peptide. Pro-opiomelanocortin is the precursor of all these hormones. So this is why this is called as pro-opiomelanocortin family, and that is why the answer is POMC, pro-opiomelanocortin. 106 is that a patient with biliary tract obstruction, the blood coagulation is inhibited. The patient have frequent hemorrhages caused by abnormal assimilation of the following vitamin. So note down, there is impaired biliary tract pathway, which leads to obstruction of biliary tract, and obviously bile acids will not be secreted into the intestine, and absence of bile acid leads to absence of emulsification of fats won't be absorbed, and so even the fat soluble vitamins will not be absorbed. So which fat soluble vitamin has a function of blood coagulation? That is vitamin K. Vitamin K is a coenzyme for carboxylation of glutamic acids in the precursor of clotting factors. So the inactive clotting factors are converted into active clotting factors with the help of vitamin K. And the absence of vitamin K leads to increase of blood clotting time and hemorrhages, because inactive clotting factors are not converted into active ones. So that is how vitamin K deficiency can lead to disturbance of coagulation mechanism. 107 is that a study of Genealogia family with hypertrichosis, helix excessive pileosis, excessive hair growth in the ears, correct, has demonstrated that this symptom is manifested in all generations only in man and is inherited from son from his father. What type of inheritance is hypertrichosis? So this is a type of Y inheritance. I'll tell you why. As you can see in this chart, this is a man with hypertrichosis, and if the inheritance is on the Y gene, then even if he mates with a normal female, then the children which are formed over here, only the males will inherit this condition, because only the males have the Y gene, correct, the Y chromosome, the gene on the Y chromosome. So only the males will have the Y chromosome, and this is why this is called as Y-linked inheritance, and the disease will be manifested only in the male, correct. So this is called as Y inheritance, and that is why the answer is Y-linked chromosome inheritance. Now, even if the daughters of this couple, they marry normal XY, then the family will be normal. But in this case, if his abnormal son with the abnormal gene, I mean Y-linked inheritance with hypertrichosis, marries a normal female, it again leads to, if sons are born, then the sons will again have hypertrichosis due to Y-linked inheritance. So let's go to the next one. 108 is that a newborn child suffers from milk curdling in stomach. This means that the soluble milk proteins, caseins, transform into insoluble proteins, paracaseins, by means of calcium ions and a certain enzyme. What enzyme takes place in this process? So for this process, we have the enzyme renin. Prorenin is converted into renin active form with the help of HCl. The milk protein casein with the help of renin are converted into paracasein and whey protein. Paracasein combines with calcium to form calcium paracaseinate. Calcium paracaseinate is acted on by pepsin to form peptones, and the digestion of proteins completes in the stomach. So I hope you understand. Renin is the enzyme converting casein into paracasein, and that is why the answer was renin. 109 is that the penetration of irritable cell membranes for potassium ions has been increased during the experiment. What changes of membrane electrical status can occur? So we have done this question a couple of times in the physiology base as well. So basically, hyperpolarization is the change of cell's membrane potential, which makes it more negative, correct? So in the whole action potential process if we talk about, then the depolarization is the increase of potential towards the positive side, and then back to normal it is called as up to the threshold, like the starting resting potential, it is called as repolarization. But what happens is that the potassium channels which are responsible for repolarization, converting the potential back to negative, they are very lazy. So when they open, they keep on open even when the resting membrane potential is reached. So they remain open, which leads to more negative potential, which is called as hyperpolarization. And this is caused by potassium channels which are very lazy, and there is increased influx of the potassium ions, and this is called as hyperpolarization. And after some time they close, and then the membrane potential reaches to the normal resting membrane potential, and the whole action potential cycle continues when a new impulse is generated. So hyperpolarization, remember, it is due to potassium ions. 110 is that a patient was recommended to take medication containing carnitine to improve his results. What process is activated by carnitine? So again a repeated question. Carnitine is responsible during the fatty acid oxidation to transport the activated acyl coenzyme A like a bus into the mitochondria, where the reaction of oxidation of fatty acids to produce energy will take place. So carnitine combines with acyl coenzyme A with the help of enzyme carnitine acyl transferase 1 to form acyl carnitine, and this bus of carnitine takes acyl into the mitochondria, and in the mitochondria coenzyme A converts carnitine acyl, this complex, back to carnitine, and acyl coenzyme A is available for fatty acid beta fatty acid oxidation. So carnitine acts as a shuttle or a bus system for taking cytosolic acyl coenzyme A into the mitochondria, and that is how these medication will improve his results, because it will transport more fatty acids for more oxidation and production of energy more frequently. Correct? That is the mechanism of carnitine shuttle. Then one caution is that to prevent post-operative bleeding, a 6-year-old child was administered Vicasol, that is synthetic analog of vitamin K. Name post-translational changes of blood coagulation factors that will be activated by Vicasol. So Vicasol is synthetic analog of vitamin K. So if we can give it as a medication to do the same function as vitamin K. And vitamin K, I already told you, is coenzyme for carboxylation of glutamic acid, and Vicasol will do the same function. And this is how the whole precursor of clotting factors will convert it to active clotting factors with the help of Vicasol. So let's go to the next one. So 112 is that a 4-year-old boy has had recently serious viral hepatitis. Now there are such clinical presentations like vomiting, loss of consciousness, convulsions. Blood analysis revealed hyperammonemia. Disturbance of what biochemical process caused this pathological condition? So obviously again there is disturbed neutralization of ammonia in the liver in the urea cycle. The urea cycle is impaired, which leads to hyperammonemia, which we already studied, correct? Which leads to all these symptoms. So that is why the answer was disturbed neutralization of ammonia in the liver. 113 caution is that during examination of an 11-year-old infant, a pediatrician revealed osteoesthesia of the lower extremities and delayed mineralization of cranial bones. Such pathology is due to provoked deficit of the following vitamin. The cholecalciferol, which is vitamin D, is responsible for the bone turnover and for bone formation and bone turnover. So the calciferol, basically the active form of vitamin D, the cholecalciferol. This is the whole vitamin D metabolism we already studied. In the skin, 7-dehydrocholesterol is converted into cholecalciferol with the help of UV light. Cholecalciferol goes to the liver to form 25-hydroxycholecalciferol. In the kidney, this 25-hydroxycholecalciferol is converted into the active form, the calcitrol or the 1,2,5-dihydroxycholecalciferol. And this calcitrol has all this function of increasing calcium and increasing the formation of bones with the help of calcium, deposition of calcium, and this is why the answer is vitamin D. Correct? We already studied this. 114 is that examination of a patient suffering from chronic hepatitis revealed a significant decrease in the synthesis and secretion of bile acids. What process will be mainly disturbed in the patient bowels? So obviously you can see chronic hepatitis leads to impairment of the liver's functions. One of the function of liver is bile synthesis, and secretion of bile will be decreased, and this will lead to decrease of fat emulsification. This is how fat emulsification takes place. Lipid droplets combine with bile salts to form emulsion droplets. These emulsion droplets are hydrolyzed by the lipase enzyme to conform monoglycerides and the bile salts, and these bile salts again form micelles with the help of these monoglycerides, and these micelles are absorbed from the intestine's mucosa very easily. Normally fats cannot be absorbed, but these micelles are able to get absorbed, and this is how these micelles in the form of chylomicrons get into the portal venous system, and this is how fat is absorbed. So emulsification of fat will be disturbed if there are no bile acids. Understood? Let's go to the next one. So 115 is that the energy inputs of a healthy man have been measured. In what position was the patient if energy inputs were less than the main exchange? So if the energy inputs were less than the main exchange, then the person should be in a sleep condition, because in sleep, during the sleeping phase of our day, our energy inputs are very low, even lower than the rest. So if it is very low during the main normal exchange, then the person must be sleeping. So that is why the answer is sleep. 116 is that the glutamate decarboxylation results in formation of inhibitory transmitter in CNS. Name it. So decarboxylation of glutamate leads to formation of a biogenic amine called as GABA. So GABA decarboxylation gives GABA, glutamate decarboxylation gives GABA, which is gamma aminobutyric acid, and GABA is an important inhibitory transmitter in the CNS, and it inhibits the transmission of nerve impulse, and it is an inhibitory neurotransmitter. Now GABA can be very useful in inhibiting the neuromuscular impulses during various conditions like anxiety, stress, fear. So this is why GABA is important during the manifestations of anxiety, stress, or fear. So this is how GABA inhibits those emotions. So GABA is an inhibitory neurotransmitter. So I hope you understood. Glutamate decarboxylation gives GABA, and that is why the answer was GABA. 117 is in course of histidine metabolism, a biogenic amine is formed that has powerful vasodilating effect. Name it. So again, a biogenic amine, histamine, we did this before. We have done all these biogenic amines before. I'm just revising. So if you have not watched the previous videos, you can note this down right now. Histamine is produced from decarboxylation of histidine, and histamine is an important biogenic amine which is involved in stimulating gastric HCl secretion and involved in inflammation and allergic reactions. So that is why the answer is histamine. 118 is that utilization of arachidonic acid via the COX pathway results in formation of some bioactive substances. You need to name them. So this is the prostaglandin synthesis that occurs via the COX pathway. So phospholipids are in the membrane, you already know, in the phospholipid bilayer of any cell membrane, and they are converted into arachidonic acid with the help of the enzyme phospholipase A2. Now this phospholipase A2, note that can be inhibited by the help of corticosteroids. They can inhibit this. But again, in the normal cycle, arachidonic acid is synthesized, and this arachidonic acid can either go to the LOX pathway to form leukotrienes and lipoxins, or to the COX pathway to synthesize prostaglandins. So via the cyclooxygenase, the COX enzyme, the COX1 and 2, arachidonic acid is converted into the precursor of prostaglandins. Now these prostaglandins, they form, the precursor forms on the next prostaglandins, and these prostaglandins act as local hormones in their function. What are their functions? They regulate blood pressure, they regulate inflammatory response, they regulate blood clotting, the reproductive functions, and even the pain response and fever regulation. Overproductions of these prostaglandins can result in many symptoms like pain, fever, nausea, because impairment of their normal function. And remember, this is the COX pathway by which arachidonic acid synthesizes the prostaglandins. So prostaglandins is the correct answer over here. 119 is that after a sprint in an untrained person develops muscle hypoxia. This leads to accumulation of the following metabolite in the muscles. So untrained person, muscle hypoxia, anaerobic condition means lactate formation in the muscles during anaerobic glycolysis. And these lactate in excess can cause lactic acidosis, muscle cramps. Remember, we did this. So the last question for today, myocyte cytoplasm contains a big number of dissolved metabolites of glucose oxidation. Name one of them that turns directly into lactate. So pyruvate can convert directly into lactate with the help of lactate dehydrogenase. So that is why the answer is pyruvate. So this is all for today. So we'll be uploading the next video in a couple of days for anatomy base. I hope you are studying well and CROC is near. You should get on with your preparations. Do questions again and again so that they get etched in your mind. That is all I have to offer for today. So this has been good. See you in the next one.